welcome back to What's Your Story? I'm so excited for today's episode. Joining me today is one of my longtime good friends, Jenny. I'm so excited to have her with me today. Hi, Jen.
Hi, everybody.
So, thank you so much for joining me and being here, even though you probably didn't have much of a choice.
I'm honored.
So, me and Jenny go way back. Way back. We went to high school together. We danced together. We've been through a lot together. The good, the bad, the ugly.
They're really ugly.
We won't get into that part. But the great news is that we've evolved through multiple phases of our lives. And now I get to see her shine in the work she's doing as a therapist and an entrepreneur. Jen is the business owner of Mujer, and she holds intentional and safe spaces for women to come together and express themselves authentically through movement and dance. And truthfully, it's so inspiring to see the safe space that she's created. I've attended almost all her events, and I can personally testify that every time I'm in the room with her, I walk out brand new. But yeah, without further ado, let's dive in. So, Jen, can you start by telling us a little bit about yourself and share some of the experiences and moments that have had a significant impact on who you are today?
Woof.
No pressure.
Yeah, I mean, I think that there's a lot of experiences that have shaped me to who I am. And I think that a lot of that comes from how I started as a dancer. The lore is that I was supposed to be a gymnast growing up, but there weren't any like studios around my house. And so my mom put me in dance, I think like at 4. And since then, it really played like a big role, I think, in developing my character as a woman, along with all its trials and tribulations.
Yes.
Yeah.
We know that dance trauma is real. If you're a dancer, you know. If you know, you know.
If you know, you know. I was reflecting on the drive here because what else do you do in a car? Like, duh.
It's a 50-minute drive.
Exactly. And I was thinking about the ways in which, at least I could only speak from my experience, right? Like, I think that starting as a flamenco dancer and knowing from such a young age that I wanted to take it so seriously, like you're really thrusted into a position to mature so fast. Like as a flamenco dancer, I was like, I don't know, 8, dancing with women that were like 20. Yeah. And so, one minute you're in the studio rehearsing and the next someone's backstage like contouring boobs on your chest and you're like, what's happening to me? Yeah. Like, why do I need to look so old right now? Yeah. And so, yeah, I think that being a dancer, you're really pushed into, you're here by yourself. This is not a team situation. Like your performance is on you. You're alone most of the time. Mm-hmm. And then you go out and do it.
Yeah.
Which is a lot.
It definitely builds character. Like that's like the positive that I would say, like when I reflect back to being a little dancer at 8 years old. It builds a lot of character and strength, but we're almost forced to grow up a lot faster than the typical 8-year-olds, right? We're exposed to so much that kids really aren't exposed to at that age.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I think I learned so much about my body at an age where I don't think that girls learn about their body. Mm-hmm. Like I was thinking about like how Mujer came to be and like this idea or like focus on feeling confident in our bodies and feeling confident in our sensuality. And as a dancer, again, in my experience, like nobody taught you how to touch your body. Yeah. It was just like, here's the move, copy it, and you do it to the best of your ability, but you never really stop and ask yourself like, am I giving myself permission to touch myself in this way? And at least, I see it like we have a relationship with our mind, we have a relationship with our body, we have a relationship with our spirit or our soul, or whatever you want to call it. And so for so long, I did this thing without asking my body for permission. Mm-hmm. And now I'm like, oh my gosh, there's a thing there. Like I can talk to her. Mm-hmm. And like for all these years, like nobody checked in on her. Mm-hmm. So now I'm like, hey girl,
how we doing?
How we doing? Are you good? Like, I'm really sorry about back then.
Yeah.
But now before I do anything of that sort, like before, you know, you've been in our events or when I'm at home or even when I'm dancing, I really take a second now to like say, hey, sister, it's me. We're safe. You're good.
I love that.
Yeah.
I love that. And you've found a way to like reframe, those traumatic memories, could we say?
Very traumatic. I've been in therapy for 3 years.
We love girls that go to therapy.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Thank you for sharing that. So, on that note, what do you think truly inspired you to start Mujer and begin this new chapter?
Yeah. I think being a dancer plays a big part in that. And again, kind of what we were saying, like, I don't think that as a young girl, I was ever really given the choice or taught how to do this, like how to actually touch and feel your body. It was always just like mimicking, like, oh, now you're going to grab, like it didn't feel like I'm doing this for me because it feels nice. I'm doing it because I need to perform.
Yeah.
And so I think that throughout the rest of my life, and of course as a dancer, you do enter that space of I'm always performing and I'm never like inviting myself here or checking in with myself here. And then coupled with becoming a therapist, obviously we learn so much more.
Yeah.
Especially that I come from like a systemic perspective, that I was like, something needs to shift here. And I noticed that with a lot of my clients now, I do talk a lot about self-esteem and confidence, or I think those are the clients that come to me. And I thought we need a space for this. Like, I feel like I'm in a position where I've learned all these things and I can give back to my community in this way and have a space where women do learn how to invite themselves to touch their body in a safe space where nobody's judging you. You don't need to mimic anybody because you're really finding what feels good for you, not what feels good for this girl or the choreographer or whoever's leading it.
Yeah.
And like, it's never, and as because you've been there, it's never about like, here, I want you to look like this when you do it. It's look like what feels good for you, because that's your relationship with your body.
Right.
And so that's really how Mujer came to be. I really wanted women to have a safe space to explore those aspects of their body that maybe they never really got a chance to, and then also connect with the mind, because again, they're living in relationship. And so it's really like a space to create that harmony between what's the relationship with me and my mind, with me and my body, with me as my essence as a woman. Yeah.
I love that. I love that because like it heals a part of like your inner child too, Like I think I heard you share once that like the inner critic, like that voice was like an old dance teacher of yours, and like now you get to reframe and rewrite that story. Like you are the author, you're in control, and you get to have a better relationship with that little girl inside of you that underwent a lot of trauma.
And for those of you watching, I'll let you in on a little secret. Basically what we're referring to is that when I was younger, one of my very first ballet teachers, and I was with her for a long time during like those pivotal developmental ages, she used to tell me that I was, fat every day, or that I was stupid, or that I was ugly. She literally said, like, you're never gonna amount to anything because you're so stupid. And at the time it was really hard. And I think that that is a voice that's been in the back of my mind for years since then. And, I did my own research. I was like, let me ask the girls that were in this class with me if they feel the same way, or other girls that have had, traumatic experiences as dancers. And I think that because I took it so seriously from such a young age, it meant a lot more. I couldn't brush it off because now you're saying something about my future and my career. Whereas other people might have done dance for hobby or because their parents forced them. It was like, oh, this lady's she doesn't know what she's talking about.
Right.
That was not the deal. Like I kept all those words and I put them in like an envelope because I was like, this is somebody that's done it. She was a professional ballerina. I have to listen to her. Like I need to conform. And so that's why when, at the workshops, a big thing is like, what is the story that you're telling yourself right now? And who's the one that's speaking and who is really giving power to that voice, and where's your voice?
Right.
So that's what we try to do.
Yes. No, you really do hone in on there's actually a specific moment, not to give too much spoiler alerts because you guys all have to attend an event.
Please come. At Mujer the Experience.
But there's a moment where you have us like look in the mirror and you have us make eye contact with ourselves and you ask us like, to like tune in to that inner child. Where is she? What is she thinking right now? What is, how is she feeling? And like that moment is always so powerful because
Mhm.
you never, I don't know about you guys, but I never really like take that time to like tune in and reflect
Yeah.
like how are we doing collectively, like are we okay,
Yeah.
you
And
know
I think it's so important that you say that because there's so many different parts of us. And I think we
mm-hmm.
really forget, like, you're not just a 29-year-old or
Yeah,
28-year-old. Like, you're also 17 and you're
yeah,
also 6 and you're also
yeah,
5. And even if you don't, like, cognitively remember those times, they still live in you because
mm-hmm.
they're an experience
The
of
body
you.
keeps the score.
The body keeps the score. And so, yeah, and I think it's really funny because a lot of pieces started to connect after my first event. Leah was there. Shout out to Leah, and she
We
was
love
leading us through. I don't know if you remember, but it was really about like getting in tune with our body, and we were rubbing our hands, we were connecting.
yeah,
And I remember she was the first person that said, "What is it like to ask your body for permission to touch?"
yeah.
And I was like in
Oh,
shambles.
I think I was in tears.
I was in tears. Well, I was trying to hold it together, but I was also like, oh my God, I've never thought about this
Yeah.
this way. And then it was just this, I went straight to therapy and I was like, oh my God, we need to talk about
Yeah, we
this.
got to debrief.
We got to debrief. And then, I'm so thankful because that opened up a whole other, I started doing EMDR after that. And we actually ended up processing a bunch of stuff that I didn't even know was there.
Yeah.
So it just opened so many doors and not even like being a part of my own experience. I was like,
Mm-hmm.
this is really cool.
Yeah.
Like, yeah.
No, I love that. Okay, so looking back, what would you say is a pivotal moment that has changed the course of your life?
I think that there are more than one.
Of course.
um yeah, well, okay. Let's start with me leaving my high school to pursue dance.
Wait, that was the biggest drama at our high school. Jen's leaving our high school to go to our rivalry high school. It was a hot topic for a good second.
Yeah, so I was a 10th grader and at the time I was on a dance team, but I wanted to pursue dance a little bit more seriously and our competitive school, they were winning and I wanted to be a winner. And so I made the decision that year as a sophomore that I was going to switch schools. And I'm not sure why it shook people to their core.
Oh yeah.
And I only say that, I'm not saying that willingly. I'm saying that because people literally like excommunicated me, like people cornered me and like there were threats made or
Yeah.
it was ridiculous. And so I think that right there I had made a decision that was like, I'm choosing this and I'm really going to be stern with myself and my grounds and nothing's going to move me from here. So I think that was really pivotal. And that whole transition, being in a school where I didn't know anybody, where literally my whole life was dance, like before school practice, lunch practice, 6th period practice, after school practice.
Yeah.
It was a lot. There were highs and lows, definitely. But I think that my work ethic and my discipline was really sharpened there. And it opened a lot of doors to getting access to be a professional dancer. And point 2 of my life changing was becoming a professional dancer. I think that when you're 18 or 19, however old I was, you're traveling the world, you're on TV, you're living really good, like
you were
it's
living.
I'm like in Japan 3 times
Yeah.
in 1 year, and I was balancing school. I was getting my degree at this time, and dancing for all these people. And it was like the differences in both lifestyles. I was like, oh my God, here I have my future as a professional dancer. And then here I have my passions of being a therapist. Like, how am I going to do this?
Yeah.
And it was really hard. And again, like, I think that it continued to shape me as a human and really refine, like, what is it that I truly value and what is it that I want to do with my life? Like, what is the legacy that I want to have and what truly makes me feel fulfilled? And so I think that I've had really amazing moments on stage. On the drive here, I was thinking about how many times I've cried on stage. Like, because, like, wow, I'm really living this dream, like this version of like the child in me, the one that wanted to be a professional and was
like
told no. Like, here I am. There's
Yeah.
like a crowd of 40,000 people,
Yeah.
and I'm sobbing on stage, and
Yeah.
like Osuna singing Te Bote. It's
my
like
God.
the height of like DR, or I don't even remember where we were, like a summer, and I was like sobbing,
Yeah.
staring at everything, and I was like, oh my gosh, I did it. So I think that that was pivotal. And then COVID happened, which I think forced us to get our lives together. And I had fractured my foot on stage at the time. And I had to really sit and look at my life and like, oh my God, like this career is really fragile. Like I just got hurt. I'm not doing anything anymore. COVID's hitting. What am I going to do right now?
Yeah.
And so I think it like thrusted me into a position where I had to take action and get experience in the field. I already knew at this time that I wanted to be a therapist. So I started working at an agency with children, and I really started to see like, oh, something's not adding up here. There's an issue in this, the ways that we're living our lives, and the ways that we're raising children, or, forming families. And I think that experience then propelled me to apply for my master's degree and do the whole experience of becoming a therapist, which is insane. I struggled. And I think, again, like that was pivotal for me to be in my master's program at the height of my anxiety. You saw me during that time period. It was a scary time.
Yeah.
And then like learn how to deal with myself, learn how to hold space for other people, and literally be crying every day because I was so anxious. And then to graduate from that process and now be in this field actively working, I think like all those steps along the way, they've really like transformed me, because I can't say that I'm the same person that I was a week ago. I think being in this field, you continuously are learning about you, about yourself, about the world. And I might as well say, like, I'm obviously eternally grateful, but they've all those things have played a role in who I am today. And even like the more I learn about like my own family history, the ways in which like my dad immigrated to this country and the things he had to go through, and, my mom's upbringing, like, I think things were already in motion for transformation before I even entered like this planet. Yeah. And it's so crazy to think about, like when you really zoom out that way. So I can't say that there's one pivotal thing, but really like this culmination of so many experiences that you could miss if you don't really look at.
Yeah.
Yeah.
No, honestly, like I've heard this story many times. Obviously, I'm her best friend. But just sitting here and hearing it, like it almost all sounds so destined. Like it's all so connected.
Yeah.
One thing couldn't have happened without the other thing occurring prior. Like I'm sure there were moments in grad school where you were questioning everything. Like, is this really worth it?
Yes.
But look at where you are now. Like,
I almost dropped out. Like I almost was like, I cannot handle this.
Yeah.
Like I honestly thought that my anxiety was so bad. I was like, I'm not gonna make it. Like this is, and it wasn't even anxiety about the field. It was my own anxiety about my own experiences in life. And in those moments, like now, when I look back at everything I just said, it's like all strung together so well. Like one moment catapults the butterfly effect.
Yes.
But in those moments, it was really like, it did feel like life or death. Like I need to make a choice for my future.
Yeah.
Like I have to have accomplished this at this, like that whole idea.
Yeah. I mean, we are our own worst self-critics. And I think that we put so much pressure on ourselves because we don't have a choice. We have to succeed. We have to be successful. Like, what did our parents come to this country for?
Yeah. And in those moments, I say that it felt like life or death because, right, like now I belong in both of these worlds. I feel like I have one foot in each and I don't really belong to either because I'm not fully, like I'm not all there. Like if I'm on tour, then I'm doing homework. If I'm at school, then I'm thinking about being on tour. And so a big issue that I was having at the time was like, where do I fit? Like, where is really like my space? Because I knew that if I was pursuing school and I'm scrolling on Instagram and I see all these girls working on the tours I want to work on, I'm like, oh my gosh, I missed that. Yeah. But I also know that if I was on tour and not in school, I would be like, oh my God, I need to be doing that. Yeah. So it was hard. But honestly, like, I think the ways in which it flowed to where I am now, like I don't think I could have done it any differently. Yeah. You know what I mean?
Well, it makes me think of what you said earlier about how, like, we are 28, 29, but we're also 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, etc. And in those moments, you know, you've made so much growth throughout your life. So dancer you doesn't show up the same as therapist you
Yeah.
or as grad school you. And like that goes back to like having like all those different parts of us and like holding space for all of them at the same time.
Yeah.
Because that happens to me too. Like sometimes when I'm at work, like I am not the same person I'm at work that I am when I'm with
Mm-hmm.
my girlfriends, you know? And like sometimes I feel like I'm having an identity crisis
Right.
because like different settings require you to show up in a different way, in a different manner. But I mean, I think that that's why like being in therapy is so important because it just
Yeah.
shows you, like teaches you who you are. And so you can show up authentically in those different settings as you.
Yeah. And I think that for a long time I felt like I had to really like split myself in those ways. And I think now I'm 28 now, what I've really been flirting, like the idea that I'm flirting
With the
with is like
idea.
how like really like if we're going to live on this earth, if we're going to exist here for whatever time that is limited, like why not just be the version of you all the time? And I
Yeah.
could go on a full rant about it, but I was just thinking about like the ways in which I show up at work, like this whole idea of what's professional, what's not professional,
Yeah.
how you should dress or how you should look. Like I deeply resent that.
Mm.
And it's you know, I grew up and I was so by the book and this had to be this way. And I think now it's like I just want to be in spaces where I could be me. When I'm at work, I want clients that I could be myself with,
Yeah.
because I think that's where the most transformation happens, in the alliance that you have with your client. Or like if I am working a dance gig, like I want to be surrounded by people that I can be myself with. Like I just don't think it's worth it anymore to split myself into so many pieces, because a big part of my life was already split.
Mm-hmm.
And not in a bad way, like I enjoyed every part of it, but now it's like, oh my gosh, I could be all these versions.
Mm-hmm.
And my life is still going to continue. And I think that there's a freedom in that now, because I get to show up in every space, like authentically, wholeheartedly me, without any fear of repercussions. Because there would be repercussions when we were younger,
Yeah.
you know? So it's
I
kind of
love
crazy.
that. I love that.
Wow.
I'm so proud of you. Look at us
Yeah.
thriving.
It's just so interesting. Like we, like, unless you're in therapy, you know, or
Yeah.
you typically have conversations like this, you don't really get to string along your history together. Now that I'm sitting here, I'm like, oh my gosh, like we did that.
Look at what we've done.
And like in the best way possible, you know, because it has been hard
Mm-hmm.
and we have struggled.
Yeah.
We've been through a lot of stuff.
Yeah.
And yet here we are.
Right. And it was really hard in those moments. And there was moments where we weren't sure if we were going to make it. So the next
No.
day it was really questionable.
It was really hard.
But you pushed through
Yeah.
and you're resilient, baby. And I'm proud of you.
Thanks. Oh my gosh, wait. This is important. I don't know if you want to add this. Another really pivotal part.
Oh,
When I was in the
share.
height of my anxiety, right? Because growing up as a dancer, there's like this idea of perfection.
Mm-hmm.
And I remember, and you know me when I was growing up, I was not an emotional being. Like we were cut off, okay? But, you know, I learned that I did that to survive in the environments that I was in as a young dancer. And I remember I was sobbing at home and my mom was there and she's like, what is going on with you, girl? Because I don't show that part often of me at the time. And I was like, you know, like I feel so anxious. Like there's just so much pressure. Like I need to be the best at everything. I need to be perfect. And I'll never forget, my mom was like, you don't need to be perfect.
Yeah, like who told you that?
And I sobbed. Like I literally went into my mother's lap and like cried on top of her, because I had never heard those words before. Like I don't think anybody has ever told me like,
you don't have to be perfect.
Right. And I don't fault anyone for that, because I think that I was such like a vessel of like, you're not going to get through me. Like I can do this by myself and I'm not going to show my emotions. But when hearing my mom say that, I was like, wow, it was just such a relief.
Yeah.
And I think that was really pivotal in my journey with my anxiety.
Oh, Carol. We love Carol.
We love my mom. Shout out to mom and dad, obviously.
Obviously. With all that being said, what do you think is the most important lesson you've learned so far in your life?
That's a hard one, because there's so many lessons.
Right.
However, there is one thing that there's one of my favorite quotes. I've had it memorized since middle school. I don't even know where I found this quote. I don't know how it ended up on my lap, but it is something that has been like in my memory, engraved in my memory for so long. And so the quote is from this book called The Timekeeper, and it says,
I love that book. You made me read that book. I think I read it during COVID. Life changing.
So the quote says, and it's such a long quote. I'm like, how did I memorize this? Whatever. It says, "Man alone measures time. Man alone chimes the hour. And because of this, man alone suffers a paralyzing fear that no other creature endures, a fear of time running out." Okay. When I was younger, I've always had a fear of death, right?
Yeah.
Like it was really hard for me to accept. And so I guess that's why I held on to that quote for so long. But like we are the only people out there that measure time, that really like are so focused on like, I need to do this by the time I'm 25. Like I remember growing up, like I need to be married by 25. I need to be in my career. I need to have kids by 30.
Yeah.
None of that is happening.
This unrealistic timeline. Like,
yeah.
Who came up with this timeline?
Yeah.
I want to talk.
And so I think that just remembering that there is, like, we could really abandon that concept if we wanted to, because life doesn't stop when you're 30.
Yeah.
And it certainly doesn't stop when you're 50.
Yeah.
And so, like, if you really abandon that idea, how much more are you willing to do with your life? How many more things are you willing to try and experiment with, or, you know, shift in yourself? And I think that is like the greatest thing that I've learned or held on to, that you can just do anything.
Yeah, we have free will, and like we make the most out of this little life.
And one mistake is not like totalizing. You know, well, hopefully it's not. And I know that I say that from a position of privilege, like with the resources and access to things that I have. But yeah, like nobody's really watching.
Yeah.
It's just you.
Yeah.
So why not?
And like you have all the time in the world.
You do. And I think that's another part of Mujer. Like, why not now? Like, I've thought about it. I wanted to do it. What was I waiting for? Like, was I waiting to feel confident? You're not going to feel confident. Right. You need to act.
You're never going to really feel ready. Like, you are what is stopping you.
Yeah.
And I can totally resonate with so many different moments in my life where, like, I'm the person holding myself back.
Yeah. And when you sit and you actually question, like, what is that thought? Where is it coming from? Where did I learn that thought? Most of the time it has nothing to do with the version of you that is existing right now.
It's a deep-rooted fear that probably someone else put there. Like,
or like societal discourse, or like what people think you should be doing.
Yeah.
I hate that.
Right.
Like,
there's no like right or wrong way. Like, I also think it's fine to kind of like, my therapist has told me this before, like to mourn like the life and the timeline that you so harshly put for yourself.
Yeah.
That was, you know, a little bit unrealistic, but that's okay.
Yeah. And I did do that. I literally in therapy, my therapist was like, we need to grieve like the version of you that, you know, did not become a psychologist or did not go on, you know, Beyonce's tour or whatever.
Right.
But it doesn't mean it can never happen.
And it doesn't invalidate like who you are right now and all the other choices that you made, because it brought you to where you are today. And you're a badass.
I try.
So, what do you hope for others to take away from hearing your journey or your experiences? Or what advice would you give someone that's out there listening right now?
Yikes. That's like a lot more pressure. Yeah, I mean, I think it's like the same message that I share in my workshops. Like, if you are the protagonist of your story and you're the one that's holding the pen to the paper, you are also capable of changing the story. You're in charge of the words that you use to describe your story, describe yourself, describe where you've been, where you want to go. You're the one that uses the language in your story. Like, is it hopeful? Is it pessimistic? Is it optimistic? Or is it from a place of love? And so, yeah, I think that's what I come back to. Like, what is the story that you're telling yourself when you're living your life? And how can you find the courage and really like reclaim that power that I could rewrite it if I don't like the way that it's going. Yeah. Which, you know, I use that a lot when I used to work in a rehab with clients that were experiencing addiction. This is only your story up to this point.
Yeah.
There's so much more ahead of you. Like, you don't have to carry this anymore if you don't want to.
Yeah.
So I think, like, if anybody takes away anything from this, it's just remember that you are the author of your story, and your book isn't finished yet.
I love that.
Maybe it's a series.
I love that.
Maybe it has a sequel. it's just not done.
Yes. Like, you are the author in your story. It's time for you to step into your power. Like, I think that there's this misconception with, making the wrong choice. And like starting over, making the wrong choice and starting over. Like, those things happen all the time, and it's okay because you're never really starting over ever. Like, healing is not a linear process. I'd like to think of it kind of like a circular process. So like, sometimes you're up, sometimes you're down, but you're constantly evolving is what I'm trying to say.
And you're never totally healed.
Oh, ever. Ever. Forget that.
There's so much, like, I think that's such a good point. And like, I can share an example. Like, when I thought that I was like, this could end right now, like, I didn't know that was going to be my last performance on stage on tour. I had made a decision to speak up about something. I hypothesized I might get released from the job. And I'm glad I did. And it was hard. And I did not dance after that. However, I really like reaffirmed something in myself that was like, we're not going to take this. And so what felt like a misstep in the moment, or could have been perceived as a misstep, was really like this redirection back to myself and who I want to be as a woman and what I value. And so, I could only be so thankful for that.
Yeah. So proud of you. Like, it's such an honor to be your friend. Oh my God.
It's an honor to be your friend. Gabby helped me through so much. When everybody hated me.
We go way back.
Like 7th grade, 8th grade.
No,
you were older than me.
It was like sophomore year. I didn't join the team till junior year.
Oh.
But sophomore year was when we teamed up.
Romance?
Our
sisterhood?
Our sisterhood
began.
Our sisterhood began.
Yeah.
Okay. Oh, this one's good. This is the deepest one.
Oh, gosh.
If we hadn't gone deep.
Eye roll. You guys already know everything about me.
If we hadn't gone deep, we're about to go deeper.
I'm ready.
Okay. If you could go back and tell your younger self one thing, what would it be?
Well, I think it's just like, it's so cliche, but like, it all works out. Like, whatever you thought was so like soul crushing, was so negative, was so hurtful, harmful, it was. Yeah, that sucked.
Right.
We should not have gone through that.
Right.
But we got through it, and like, you didn't have to be perfect all the time. Like, it was okay to have fun. It's okay to be loud or crazy or have a ridiculous laugh, or I don't know, like, it was just like, it just works out. And I hate that it's so cliche, but it's true.
It's true.
Like, here we are breathing, like, we have our bodies, like, we have our minds, like, it's just so grateful that life did keep going. Yeah.
Like, you not making the team, you not passing that class.
Oh my gosh, yeah. You not getting picked for a certain part of a dance, you not getting soloists, you not getting the tour, you're not getting a scholarship.
It's all working out.
A job.
It's all working out for your greatest good, actually.
Yeah. Like, yeah. Absolutely. Every no was just a redirection to become more aligned with who you want it to be.
Yeah.
Like, what you value.
Yeah. And rejection is just redirection. Like, everything is just leading you to be exactly where you need to be.
Yeah, and that's not to say that it's without any growing pains or pains, because it absolutely sucks while you're going through it. But ultimately, like, we've made it this far, and there's so many things that I could have been sad about, but really just a few days later, something came up and it just made sense.
Yeah.
This is why this didn't work out.
Exactly.
Or like, I wouldn't even have enjoyed my time if I said yes to this.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
Yeah.
That's a message. Say yes. Say yes to more things.
I love that.
Why not?
You've been doing that recently.
Yes.
Like, every month you try something new.
Yeah, every month I'm trying something new so that at the end of the year I have 12 new experiences. Why? Because why not? The same way, like, when people were like, why do you want to run a marathon? Why not?
Yeah.
Like, here we have this vessel. I have this health. I have this ability. Like, I really want to use it to my full capability, because that's like a deep-rooted issue of mine that, like, when I leave this earth, like, would I have fulfilled every single part of my life that I wanted to do?
Yeah.
And I think that the message that we're taught growing up, at least in, like, I can only speak from my experiences, like, you need to pick this one track and this is your career for the rest of your life. I resent that idea. because you can do so many things all at once.
Mm-hmm.
And I wish I would have known that sooner, maybe, or maybe not, because it's all good now.
Yeah.
You know?
You needed to
Yeah.
go through those things to
Yeah.
teach you, you know,
Yeah.
that lesson.
So, yeah, I think now I'm at a stage where through all this work and throughout all these lived experiences, I've really reached the place where I could be just the version of myself that I want to be, like authentically Jen, no matter what. No matter if I'm at work, no matter if I'm with family or with friends, like what you see is what you get, literally. And whoever is aligned with that, whatever experiences are aligned with that, amazing. I love that. And I've found that if it doesn't, I didn't want it, or I wouldn't have enjoyed it.
Yeah.
And I'm okay with that.
I love hearing this. I'm like about to cry. I'm just so proud of you because like I personally have witnessed your journey, and I know that the path to get here was a long, wasn't smooth,
bumpy road,
to say the least.
Yeah.
But life just gets so much easier when you realize, unfortunately, we are the only person standing in our own way, and like reframing our thoughts, reframing our perspective, like. Life doesn't have to be that hard. We don't have to put that much pressure on ourselves. Like it's all going to work out. It's going to be okay.
You're the one that's holding the pen to the paper. So what do you want to write? What's your story?
What's your story? Oh, that was like perfect. That was perfect. Oh my God. Oh my God. Okay. We're basically done. That was amazing. Thank you so much for sharing your story with me and with everyone listening. I hope that this message finds whoever needs to hear it. If you feel called to like, share, or comment, please do share this video or share this podcast with a friend, with anyone you think needs to hear it. And stay tuned for the next episode. Bye. Bye.